Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Sam's podcast here today. Welcome. I'm joined with John and Owen here with me today. How are you guys?
No,
Very good, thank you.
Obviously, look, some sad news, of course, this week, I suppose last week for the listeners. I will pass it over to these lovely chaps if they would like to say a few words. Because I don't feel like I'm qualified to say that much. But Stuart Bevan passed away. Obviously, there's been covering a Pertwee story. I felt like it's appropriate to mention that. So, if you guys want to take it away, and
yes, it's very sad news. I never had the pleasure of meeting Stuart myself, but I know from people that did that he was a very pleasant and polite chap to me. Always very much a gentleman. Although he was only really kind of in the one story, he was very much part of the Doctor Who family. Obviously involved in extras for the season 10 box set and filming trailers for the collection sets with Katie, and remained friends with Katie Manning for 50 odd years since filming the Green Death. So yeah, a very very sad loss to the Doctor Who world, and obviously I'm sure everybody's thoughts go out to his family and his loved ones.
I've never met him myself either. But yeah, I mean, as John said, you hear stories about him through other people, and you see him in various sort of interviews and documentaries on the box set of season 10, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, it just sort of comes across as very charming and delightful. But yeah, and yesterday I was listening to the Torchwood audio, The Green Knife, because you've got Katie Manning in that as Jo Jones, and you've also got Stuart Bevan playing Boss. Of course, he wasn't the original Boss. But yeah, they got him in to play Boss in this, and I thought he played a great part as Boss. Yeah, but yeah, very sad news.
yeah, as John said, thoughts go out to family and friends, and anyone that knew him. Always sad to hear a passing in any kind of context. So yeah, as we will now continue on with our regular podcasting chatter and stuff. But I did just want to give a segment to the show this week to, like I said, say a few words and that sort of thing. But obviously, John was very excited for this week. You heard him. I can still hear that audible "oh yes" when the Mind of Evil came up on the wheel, which we will get into. Again, it's kind of a tricky time for the podcast, mainly because there's no Doctor Who coming out that this year, really, apart from 2 episodes. There's not much like filming or speculation going on. We don't know who the new Doctor is yet. We don't know when the filming for the new Russell series is technically starting, so we know nothing. There's nothing to talk about, nothing to speculate. But I will say this for those that had seen it: that Doctor Strange trailer was a bit mental, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Indeed.
looking forward to
Obviously,
that.
Owen, we'll be back in May, probably doing the second Doctor Strange because you were on the first Doctor Strange. Although you never remember that you do Doctor Strange, and you think you did every other Marvel film except Doctor Strange. If you look at the corner of every podcast, or if you listen, there's 1 millisecond of time where you'll be able to just hear Owen say one thing. If you slow the podcast down, you'll be able to hear it.
I mean, to be fair, last time we recorded, you didn't even know what he'd done either. So
Yes, I do a lot more shows than I like. There's so much like they all roll into one eventually. Forever revolving into one. So yeah, like I said, there's no news. There's nothing really. Anything you guys want to bring to the table of interesting things to talk about?
Nothing that comes to mind. I shall keep my counsel under my hat on things that I've been.
Did you all get your Warriors of the Deep Silurian box sets?
I don't collect the figures,
Right.
so I don't.
I will have by the time this is broadcast. I got a delivery note, so I booked redelivery for the end of last week. So yeah, by the time this is broadcast, I will have.
Yes, I know Connor got them and he was very excited. So there we go. Right, we'll just jump into Mind of Evil this week. Then, as I said, this has been moved a week forward essentially because everyone's really busy this week with LFCC plans and stuff. So it was going to be me and Reef reviewing The Flash, but then we realised that we don't have time to watch all of The Flash because there's too much of it. So we'll push that back a little bit in the schedule. And next week will be me and Beef talking about Peacemaker, the series, the DC show. Which
I personally think that's an absolutely shocking lack of commitment from yourself and Caliber Ray Forever 97. When you've got a deadline, you stick to it.
7 seasons of television in a week, I think, was a bit of a stretch. And yeah, I just like, well, it was actually more, but then we forgot. And it was like, oh, it's next week.
We managed to watch 2.5 hours of The Mind of Evil.
Good point. There we go. 2.5 hours of The Mind of Evil. Well, John, would you look to do your super? This is like you said, 2 hours. There's a lot going on. Much more. I'd say this one's more streamlined than Kingdom.
2.5 hours.
It's like 2.5 hours. Isn't it? It's like 2:20.
Yeah, comes in at about. No, it is about 2:30.
Yeah. Would you like to give a supersized breakdown of what happens in the John Pertwee serial, The Mind of Evil?
Yes, by all means. So we are in season 8 of the classic series. So we're kind of smack bang in the middle of the Doctor's exile on Earth. He is working for UNIT and as a scientific advisor, and he's just met his new companion / assistant, Miss Jo Grant, played by the lovely Katie Manning. So his arch nemesis and Moriarty, the Master, played by Roger Delgado, is also stranded on Earth at this point because the Doctor stole his dematerialization circuit in Terror of the Autons. So that's your setup. And at the start of the story, we see the Doctor and Jo visit Stanmore Prison, which is a big sort of old Gothic fortress. Jo comments it looks like Dracula's castle. And at Stanmore Prison, they are observing the Keller process, which is a new treatment for convicted felons, which essentially takes all of the negative impulses away from a convict and leaves them as what we are told is a sort of well-rounded member of society, although it proves not to be the case. So they observe Barnum, who is introduced as a sort of hardened criminal, go through the process. He's clearly in a lot of pain, and essentially it leaves him like a child. It leaves him with absolutely no negativity or negative impulses, no cynicism at all. He's essentially left like an adult child. So anyway, after the process has taken place, a dead body is found in the room. One of the people who's been observing the process is found to have died. Beg your pardon?
He had bites and scratches all over his face.
Are you interrupt? Do you want to just take it from here?
You got told off for this deal. You got told off for this the last time, Owen.
You know, I sometimes do these things under protest, and you know,
I'll mute myself. Go ahead.
So yeah, it's eventually found to have died of a heart attack. He's also found to have bites and scratches on his neck. When they look at his medical records, they found that he had a morbid fear of rats. He was a medical student and always used to freak out when he saw rats in the lab. So later on in the episode, the Doctor, who's been displaying the or demonstrating the Keller process. I think it's Dr. Kettering. He's also found to have died in the room. His lungs are full of water. He drowned in a completely dry room, and he had a morbid fear of water. So we can kind of guess what's going on here. At the same time as this is going on, units are attempting to govern the security of the first ever World Peace Conference. World Peace Conferences must be a thing at this point, because there's one in 1971, there's one in 1972 in Day of the Daleks as well. So yeah, but every year there's a World Peace Conference because everybody's trying to fight each other all the time. And the Brigadier is having particular issues with the Chinese delegation, and General Qin Li of the Chinese delegation, who's a young Chinese lady who is making all kinds of allegations in relation to breaches of security. She alleges that documents have been stolen from the Chinese delegate's suite. We then see her burning said documents and putting them in a bin. There's clearly something very interesting going on there in terms of her. She's clearly a little bit up to no good, shall we say. The Chinese delegate actually then dies, and so a replacement is appointed. Back at Stanmore Prison, we see that the Doctor is left alone in the room with the Keller machine when he's trying to work out what's going on with the two people that have died. And the Keller machine then comes to life and attacks the Doctor through his mind. He has visions of flames and fire. Basically, he remembers the end of episode 6 of Inferno when he watches an entire world burn. And he kind of plays into his own fears. Thankfully, he is rescued from that, and then Jo sort of asks him about it. He tells her about the events of Inferno. While the World Peace Conference is going on, the unit are then asked to escort a missile, the Thunderbolt, which is a nuclear missile with nerve gas in the tip, a completely illegal weapon, and it's going to be escorted for destruction. The Doctor points out during the course of the story that this really is rather bad timing to be doing something like this when you've got a World Peace Conference on. So he kind of answers the question that the entire audience are thinking at this point: why are they moving a nuclear weapon during a World Peace Conference? And the Brigadier goes, well, yes, but we've been told to do it and we were trusted to do it, so we're going to do it. Benson is following General Chinley to see what's going on. And she goes into a little phone box, presses a little device, and then you hear the sound of the Keller machine, and Benton kind of loses it a little bit and feels a bit queer and faint and nearly falls over and nearly gets his head stuck in a railing. Which, I mean, it does look like his head's going to go through that railing.
It does.
But thankfully it doesn't. And so he loses sight of her. She then goes and liaises with who turns out to be her boss. And of course, it's the Master, because it's season 8 and it's always the Master. And basically, the Master is attempting to disrupt the World Peace Conference and destroy the Earth, and he wants to basically rule the remains of a desolated and scorched Earth. So Chinley then attempts to murder the American delegate by again using a sort of remote version of the Keller machine. He envisages her as a Chinese dragon, but thankfully the Brigadier and the Doctor arrive in time to save the day and prevent him from being killed. The Master then heads to Stanmore, where there's already been one riot and one takeover by Harry Mailer, who's basically the top dog and general hardnut of the prison. But Jo foiled that by stealing a gun and appearing to shoot somebody in the bottom. I mean, it does look like she shoots somebody in the ass. So she's already had one escape foiled. The Master heads there under the guise of Professor Keller, the inventor of the machine, where he'd previously been to install it. And he liaises with Mailer in order to assure Mailer that he can take over the prison and lo and behold, it turns out that the doctor basically wants, the master rather basically wants to recruit a load of prisoners from Stanmore Prison to help him steal the Thunderbolt rocket, which he's then going to aim at the World Peace Conference and instigate World War III. If we're still here next week and being broadcast, then thankfully we've not quite hit World War III yet, which is a good thing. But yeah, it seems quite prescient at the moment that that's his aim. So the doctor is then taken hostage when he heads back to the prison. Him and Joe are taken hostage, and the master's got control of the prison. The brigadier decides to lead an armed attack where he poses as like a delivery driver with a massive truck. He only gets let into the prison after he mentions to the man on the gate that he supposedly got the governor's alcohol in the back of the truck. And at which point the prisoners all go, "Ooh, we'll let him in there if he's got food and booze." Benton leads an assault from a tunnel underneath the prison, and most of the unit soldiers went out. They kill a lot of prisoners, and they are really clearly shooting to kill. Like, there's a few examples where they've got somebody at gunpoint, and the prisoner could just have surrendered and put his gun down, but he gets fucking shot anyway, which is a bit brutal, to be honest. A few unit soldiers get taken out by that as well. But yep, so the brigadier takes the prison back over, arrives just in time to save the doctor's life and kill Mailer because Mailer's about to shoot the doctor. So you get a wonderful cliffhanger at the end of episode 5 where you've got the doctor being held at gunpoint and you see a gun going off and you have to wait an entire week to find out that it was a different gun. Or you would have done in 1971. Obviously, now you have to wait about 30 seconds through the wonders of modern technology. Or if you're listening to this podcast, you've got to wait about 2 seconds because I've just told you. So, yeah, the prison's back under control. All they've got to do now is deal with the Thunderbolt rocket and the Keller machine. And the doctor comes up with a wonderful idea. If you're going to destroy a nerve gas nuclear weapon, that could be a brilliant way to destroy the alien inside the Keller machine. So they take the Keller machine to the master's hideout at a sort of a hangar. Barnum is carrying the Keller machine because it transpires that he is basically like kryptonite to the creature inside because he has no negative impulses. So he acts as a shield. So Barnum takes the Keller machine. They attempt to trade with the master where the doctor says, "We'll give you your dematerialization circuit if you let us have the rocket and then let me destroy the rocket." There's a bit of a struggle when the master sort of goes and gets knocked out for a second. The doctor dismantles the rocket. As he, Joe, and Barnum are running for the helicopter, Barnum stops to check on the master because he's just a really nice guy. He's basically like a big kid. And of course, the master overpowers him, gets into a van, and then runs him over. I say runs him over. He's literally stood about 2 feet in front of the van when the master starts. He can't be going more than 2 miles an hour at that point. It's a glassing blow, but apparently it still kills Barnum, who's like about 6'6" and built like a brick shithouse. Must have got very lucky with that one. So yeah, they get into the helicopter, take off. The master takes off in his van. It's not until they get back to the brigadier that the doctor discovers that the dematerialization circuit is actually gone. So the master must have nicked it during the struggle, or it was dropped during the struggle. And the last thing that we get is the master phoning the doctor up to say, "Well, I'm going to be off then, Sonny Jim. Enjoy the rest of your exile because I've got my dematerialization circuit." And as the doctor puts it, he's got his freedom and I'm stuck here on Earth with you, Brigadier. Rolling credits.
Just playing tug of war with Fluffy.
Oh, so you're having a tug at various points.
You have the tug whilst he loves having a tug whilst John, when he listens to John explain Doctor Who stories. It's his favourite pastime, having a tug listening to John explain different stories.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not the only one.
Yeah.
Many of our listeners probably do that.
Jesus Christ. Right, John, I know exactly what you think of the story. So I'm first going to go to Owen and say, Owen, The Mind of Evil, your thoughts?
I absolutely love this story. And I bought it the day it was released on DVD, which was just prior to Father's Day 2011, I think.
Yeah, it was one of the latest. It was one of the later releases, wasn't it? Because they did a lot of they did a fair bit of cleaning up on it, I think.
Oh no, it wasn't. Hang on, no, it wasn't. It was 2013. It was released. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, it was one of the really late releases because that and Zygons were like the two really big classics that was the last to come.
Yeah, and I only remember like how and when I got it because I was in Ashford at the time at Aunt Diane's, and we just happened to be in Asda, and I was looking for something to get my dad for Father's Day, and I saw a box set of Dad's Army. I thought, right, okay, I'll get him that box set. And then somewhere just nearby that, I then see Doctor Who, Mind of Evil, new, and I thought, right, I'm having that. And I think that was actually my first Pertwee DVD. And yeah, I'm very fond of that story.
Okay, I'll go next, and I'll say I like this one. I don't love it. I like it. I think it's got some really cracking moments. I think it's got some moments that I'm not so fond of, but overall, I think it is really good. That I think overall it's possibly one of the weaker ones in season 8, but I love season 8, so it's kind of like when you've got a few almost 10 out of 10 stories, being a 7 or an 8 isn't actually that bad. Do you know what I mean? So, because I do think Terra and Damon's are better than this for me, anyway. But hey, that's just me. I know in the top left, I like it. I'll explain the bits I'm not fond of in a bit, but I do like it. I think it is good. I think it shows.
I'll allow you to explain the bits that you're not
Isn't
fond
the
of.
mutants in the series?
I'll allow you to explain the bits that you're not fond of, and then I'll explain why you're wrong. But that's absolutely fine.
The mutants isn't it? It's not got the mutants in it, is it?
Sorry? No, the
Oh,
mutant season 8. No, that's season 9.
that's what, yeah, because Owen was questioning whether the mutants were. I was going to say.
No, season 8. Season 8's Autons, Mind of Evil, Axos, Colony, Demons.
Right.
The only one that I'm not fond of too much is Colony, but
I'm not sure anybody's massively fond of Colony.
Yeah.
but yeah, I would
Never
say
mind,
this.
Jim will fix it.
So yeah, I would say this is the 4th best of the season, but with the proviso that the other 3 that I like quite a bit.
Okay.
But John, see you.
I mean, for me, this is God tier Who. This is absolute perfection. It's a 10 out of 10 episode. It is the finest story of season 8. And I can explain why I think that later on as well. It's the finest story of season 8. It's up there for me in the top 5 Pertwee stories. Along with Inferno, which obviously was also written by Don Houghton, Green Death, and a couple of others. Yeah, this is up there in the top 5 Pertwee stories. Invasion of the Dinosaurs probably comes in there as well. It is up there in the top 5 Pertwee stories. It is perfection. It's one of the only examples really where you get a 6-part story and everything kind of clicks. You've got all of those plot strands and they manage to tie them together and it comes together in a cohesive plot. It doesn't feel disjointed. It doesn't feel like it drags. It just absolutely works, smashes it out the park. Nothing in there feels tired. The prison is a perfect setting for base under siege style stories. Pertwee and Delgado in particular are just absolute top of the game here. It is perfection.
I can agree with you. The Pertwee Delgado stuff is possibly the best it ever is for me. I think so. With the back and forth they have here,
I think with the possible exception of the Damons, it's the best performance Delgado gives.
Well, yeah, in agreement there. Yeah, I'd say so. Right. I'm kind of scared to say things I'm not a massive fan of.
No. I mean,
Um,
I'm always open to other opinions, as long as I'm allowed to explain why they're wrong.
okay, yeah, that's fine. So I'll go with what I don't like because it is not a lot. I still really enjoy the story. For me, I don't like sort of how stilted the first half feels. It sort of feels like, right, we've got two plots going on. The Doctor's being both of them. And that scene where the doctor obviously knows there's a mass killing machine. Like he's not, at this point he knows the machine's causing it. But he's like, no, Doctor, you got to come back with me because it's the peace conference. And he goes, all right then, I'll leave Joe to sort it out. And then obviously Joe, unfortunately, is that is that they're at the worst time because the prison gets taken over. I find it hard to believe the Doctor would be like, yeah, we'll just leave it to Joe. Let's kill him.
To be fair, he turns around to Joe and he basically says, right, lock that door, make sure nobody goes in there. At that point, they don't know the killer machine can move. At that point, they don't know the prison's going to be taken over. Because Mailer's not even really been introduced to the character at that point. So yeah, to be fair, it's not a bad decision. It's not something where you go, why would you do that? Because he's explained exactly what shouldn't happen and what they should need to do to protect themselves. And, it's a maximum security prison. Why should he think, oh, well, there's going to be a riot?
Fair. I will allow that. However, I don't like the fact it's like one episode we're in the prison. Then the Doctor's got to go to the Peace Corps. Then he's got to go back to prison. And then now the Peace Corps done now because they found out it's the Master. We've got to stay at the prison. Oh, and now it's all going to kick off. There's a rocket. The rocket thing still annoys me. And it doesn't matter if you write how silly it is. It's still silly that they're at the time of a peace conference. They decided to do a rock. That still bugs me. It's like the Doctor goes, well, this is dumb, but it's like that doesn't save you from the fact that it is inherently stupid and makes no sense.
Do you genuinely think that stuff like that hasn't happened in real life?
I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
Let's face it. If a massive nuclear rocket is being moved to be destroyed, which it's going to be something that happens on a really regular basis across the world, you're not going to hear about it because of the security levels of that. It's something that's just going on in the backgrounds of government. Disposal of weaponry is something that just goes on in the backgrounds of government all the time. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a little unfair to kind of say, well, it's ridiculous to have this happening at the same time as that. Because actually, for all we know, that could be happening all the time and we wouldn't know about it.
I do. So I'm hearing what you're saying. I think for me, it just comes down to there's too much happening in this for me. Some people like stories where it's a bit hectic and there's a lot going on. It does all tie together at the end. I'll give you that, John. I'm not disagreeing with you that by the end you do feel satisfied that everything that has been brought up and it all connects quite well when you leave going, do you know what? Yeah, they did a good job. I'm not questioning, well, what happened to that person or this or that. But I still do think for me, for surprisingly in a massive 6-part story, there is too much going on in this story for it. I think
far too often with 6-parters, we get that criticism that there's not enough that goes on, that there's too much padding, etc. I think what we've got here is something where they do it just right. It doesn't. I don't think it feels hectic, but what you do get is non-stop action. You do get non-stop action. You don't necessarily get much of a breather here and there, aside from maybe the couple of scenes where you've got the Doctor knocked out in the cell, like around the start of episode 4, where he takes the opportunity to have a bit of dialogue with Jo, which is actually really nice because she's a new companion at that point. But yeah, it is non-stop action, but for me, I don't think it's too much, because it doesn't really feel overloaded. It's just 100% go, go, go.
Yep. Yeah, I can see. I think
as I said earlier, I think the big question you ask yourself in terms of is too much going on, is you ask yourself, has it all been resolved? If it's all been resolved, then there's not too much going on for the story.
Fair enough. That's well done. I can, yeah. Well, you've taken my points. You've turned them. I still don't agree with you in a respectful way. I still, you know, I can see where you're coming from. But yeah, I think for me, those, like I said, I still really enjoy the story. It's just those few things that when I watch it, I'm like, that's why, like you say, I really appreciate the scenes in the prison cell when the doctor is incapacitated and Joe's there. We get that time to breathe a little bit, and we do get that time where you can just sit there and go, right, let's try and reassess what's going on. We've got this going on, that going on. Like,
Yeah. And you get some nice little interactions with the prison doctor as well. Actually, you get a nice little build up of relationship between Joe and the prison doctor played by Michael Sheard, as well in one of his 2 million appearances in Classic Who.
he's one of those that you can always rely on. And
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. It's once, twice. It's definitely done 5, and I think there might be one that I've forgotten.
anything you want to say, Owen? You have a nice little sip of your drink there, but anything you want to say?
Not really.
Just those cushions look comfy.
I'm sitting on the sofa for once.
Oh, there we go.
Very,
Welcome
nice,
to.
very nicely patterned wall behind you.
Yeah, I like it.
I do like the mosaic. I do like the mosaic pattern on your wall.
Thank you.
But if you got the sofa there, doesn't the door that's to the left of you like block itself?
I mean, this is like the kitchen door. I've always got the door open anyway.
It's a shame it doesn't open the other way, because that would have been really comedic styling. You sort of sat there and somebody just slams the door open and smash you in the face.
It's just the dog. The dog comes and just smacks you right in the face. Yeah. No, things I like about this. Well, John, you've got your background on it currently. If there's audio listeners, I love the concept of this machine that shows you your greatest fears and stuff. I think it's really cool, and I think it tells that it's a very smart device to tell us a lot about our characters. You know, the ones that don't die. You know, about what their fears are, what are the mindset of our characters are. So you get the Doctor with the flames, like you said, from Inferno and all that sort of stuff, which again adds more weight to that story as well, which is a brilliant. So you talk about 10 out of 10 stories, that is one of them. You've got, I like the scene of the Master where he, you know, sort of is afraid of the Doctor laughing at him and stuff and seeing him as a fool as well, which is a really nice bit of subtext.
Yeah, that's really not, you know, for a character where like the Master, where you don't see that weakness, you know, and you know, don't forget this is an early stage. This is only the Master's second story, so to establish that actually his biggest fear is being mocked by the Doctor, yeah, I think that's great. It's a great bit of storytelling.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just think it's one of those things as well where because it's one of those things where this, I love Delgado's performance, but I feel like sometimes in the writing he can feel very, I'll just describe this in the best way. He's doing the best job to elevate kind of very cheesy writing and a very just basic kind of Bond villain-esque sort of style of villain, where actually these little bits of subtext add so much more layers to the character of the Master and the character that now we know them to be. So it's actually kind of nice, like you said, in these early stages that we're even adding those layers and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I also think as well, a lot of our side characters are pretty good here. I like the fact that in this, I don't want to say the Master's henchman, I forget his name. The leader of the prison gang isn't dumb. Melee, yeah, he's not dumb in this. Most of the times, like the Master or a villain like has a sidekick, they're just like blindly following them. But this time, Mailer knows what he wants, and he says, "There's a scene as well. The Doctor's like, the Master's just using you," and he goes, point blank says, "Yeah, I know. I'm using him as well." So it's nice to kind of have something like that as well. The writing here seems very grown up. It's not just going for the cliches of the genre. They're sort of pushing the envelope, as it were, and adding layers to even the smallest characters. Like there's a lot of memorable characters here, like you said, the prison doctor and other characters along the way. I think Joe's really good in this one. I remember her for a second appearance as well. You can already tell that relationship is building very quickly. Not only between the Doctor and Joe, but also Katie and John. You can already tell they're getting on very well in the way that they act together and that sort of thing. So it's very easy to see those guys just on screen or immediately from episode 2, because sometimes it takes time for companions and Doctors' relationships to build and get to that sweet spot. With this pairing, it's very similar to Tom and Liz. It just feels like immediately dynamite.
Yeah, and of course, there's a few interesting little side notes about the side cast here, because William Marlowe, who played Harry Mailer, he was married 3 times, and his third marriage, until his death, was to Kismet Delgado, who's Roger Delgado's widow. So yeah, he married Roger Delgado's widow, and also playing. Make sure I get this right. Also playing General Shin Lee. Is an actress called Pik Then Lim, who was the wife of Don Houghton, the writer of the story.
Oh wow!
So there's a few little sort of interconnections in the cast as well. But in spite of that, it's not a case of sort of nepotism or anything. It's just a really good supporting cast. Everybody really kind of nails it, and actually characters that would be stock characters like Mailer are kind of elevated by the writing and by the performances that are given. Into something more than that.
Totally, yeah, absolutely agree. And hello. No, if you don't know, you can't see. We've been joined by Fluffy for a few seconds there.
Fluffy's nose just pointed in front of the
as you can see. Owen's not taking hello. No.
I'm sure she's missing her mum and dad.
Say hello. Who's this?
Hello, Fluffy. No.
Yeah, say hello. Yeah.
Yes. Owen's had a new friend for the past. How long has it been, Owen? A week and a bit, or?
Week and a half. Yeah, week and a half. So I've got her until Monday.
No.
Which is, for listeners, 28th.
Which is today.
Yeah, Fluffy going home today.
Yeah, you're going home today on the 28th, aren't you?
What a one! Who doesn't love a dog? If you don't know, well, all of us can't. If we count Fluffy as, stay with Owen at the minute. We've all got dogs. It's lovely. Dogs are great. They just make you feel better. Big up to Sparky.
Dogs are awesome.
Not having a dog of my own for 15 years. And looking after her for about a week and a half, it's made me miss having
you want a dog. You want a dog.
Kind of makes you realise how much you miss it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's something about it. Is there's the routine, there's the companionship, and everything else that comes with it.
Absolutely. God, we should just talk about dogs for the rest of the podcast, but we shan't because I'd love to. But hopefully, if there's any listeners, hopefully you guys have dogs. I don't like cats, but if you have cats, fair enough. I'm allergic to cats, so always wary of cats.
I can't wait till we review Survival then.
Yeah, I watched that for the first time. I was going to say last year, but it's not now. In 2020, I think, with Owen.
Okay.
I think that was the same day after Survival. We still had to watch more classic history. We watched Day of the Daleks.
Oh.
And I didn't like Day of the Daleks.
Ooh.
I know.
Day of the Daleks.
Thank you, Owen. Sorry, John. I'm so sorry. John, I'm so sorry. John is seething.
I'm just curious about Owen's comment there because,
I don't think it's a brilliant story.
Because, on the extras on the DVD, your boss is in it.
Well, yeah, Kevin's. Kevin's one of the unit soldiers being obliterated by Daleks and Ogrons. I mean, you don't just see him getting killed once; you see him getting killed twice, and then a third time. And yeah, after the first time, they said, "Oh, can you fire a pistol, sort of like that, so like we can't see your face." And then third time round, "Oh, do we think we can get away with it? We put a moustache on him." So yeah, that was on the special edition Day of the Daleks, which I think was on disc 2.
Yeah.
And then he's also
was
on
interviewed on one of the
BritBox
extras.
and on the is it on Blu-ray? No, it's not on Blu-ray yet, is it?
No, it's not yet.
Season 9.
No, this is where we get Day of the Daleks. End of wheel. By the way, we will be spinning the wheel from now on. You guys like the fact that we knew 2 times in advance, so we're going to be spinning it again, even though Time Flight is next month. I don't know why you want like that, but like you did. You said you liked knowing 2, so we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, that's sweet. I like a wheel spin. I like a wheel spin.
Like
It's exciting, isn't it?
it adds a new layer to the to
yeah,
it.
I like being I like the thing of being able to plan 2 months in advance. It's good. It's good.
It's good. Yeah. I will say this. For me, the Brigadier in the story is sort of, if you want to talk about one-note characters, I don't think he's particularly well written in this. I think not he's not written poorly or anything. I just think there's stories where he's written better. I think because there has to be some kind of roadblock, or someone has to be moody in these classic episodes. And I think this time it just falls to the Brigadier being peed
I
off
think
quite a lot.
he's under so much pressure because of the peace conference, and
Yeah.
everything's going to fucking pot because Chinese delegate gets killed off, and
we do see that because there's a bit where he's like literally asleep at his desk, isn't there? You kind of see how overworked he is.
He's been working all night.
I do like the fact though that when the doctor goes to, I think he goes to visit, I can't remember which delegate it was. He goes to visit a delegate or somebody, and they'll only speak to the doctor and not the Brigadier, and they're just mug. Yeah, they're just mug.
It's the replacement Chinese delegate.
They're just mugging the Brigadier off. I just won't talk to her at all.
Speaking to the Chinese the subtitles that come up when they're speaking in Chinese is very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
General Fu Peng, played by the wonderfully named Christopher Cum. Spelled K-U-M.
Oh. That's set Owen off another 2.
I did laugh at that when the titles come up.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get a BFI screening of this, because we would have been sat next to each other at the end of every bloody episode, nudging each other in the ribs and laughing our heads off. Yes, BFI this weekend off the Revelation of the Daleks.
Yes, of the Revelation, a story that I've not seen, so that's be fun to be able to watch that one. But yeah, Owen, what
you going to stay awake through this one?
I'm going to try. I have to get up early again on Saturday, so we'll find out. Which was the there's only one BFI but I didn't sleep through, and that's the one where I was up on the Friday. It was Galaxy 4. I didn't sleep through Galaxy 4. Stayed awake to Galaxy 4 because I came up, but every time I've gone up the same day, I fell asleep. So I'll try my best not to. I've been told it's a good one, so I guess.
Right, yeah, it's all right actually. Yeah. There are stories I prefer from season 22, but no, Revelation's all right.
Yeah, very decent story.
There we go. Fingers crossed for that. I don't. Is there anything else that I know obviously we haven't talked about specific set pieces, but in terms of character and specific plots, if we missed anything that anyone wants to bring to mind about certain bits, or.
I mean, I just think it's brilliant throughout. It's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to pull. It's hard to pull anything out of it. I mean, the restoration and colorization of the story is obviously great, because I mean, this is pretty unique in that it's pretty much the only story that the BBC didn't hold any color episodes of. So they had to practically completely colorize this.
Oh, is this colorized?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. Didn't I?
Yeah, there were a few Pertwee stories where they had to colorize because the episodes were only held in black and white. So there's this. I think the demons was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
demons.
Episode 1 of Invasion of the Dinosaurs is colorized. Episode 3 of Planet of the Daleks. And there might well be a few others. I think Inferno might even be
Yeah.
at points, and the Silurians. So yeah, there's and Ambassadors of Death actually. So yeah, there's quite a few where they've done some colorization because the BBC destroyed their color copies and only had black and whites, or had sent black and white prints abroad, which were then returned.
There we go. The more you know. Yeah. I'm with you, John. Like I said, Adventurous Stuff I didn't like. The rest of it, I think, is good to great. I like the fact that it did make me chuckle when I was watching it, that in this time you can just watch characters smoke on kids' TV. Like if Sasha Dewan was to pull out a massive cigar now and smoke it, there would be uproar. But you just have Delgado in the back of it. The back of the car thing was itself as well. Like, what is that implying? Is he always just sat in the back of that car the whole time with the poor mindless taxi driver? Just
think
going,
it was, yeah. I mean,
mean,
Doctor Who's more of a family show than a kids show. I mean, I think a lot of adults throughout generations have always thought, oh, Doctor Who is, it's just a kids show, but it's not. It's a family show. It's, something for everyone. And kids who are watching it back in the Hartnell days are in their 60s, 70s, whatever, and and still watching it to this day, and they've passed it on down the generations and got their kids and grandkids to watch it as well.
I think what you notice with the smoking is at this point it's the bad guys that smoke.
Yeah.
It's not like the characters that the kids are supposed to be looking up to are sitting there puffing away.
But in saying that, what's her name in City of Death? Played by Catherine Shell.
But she's kind of a bad guy as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
the Countess Scarlioni.
What's her name? The artist in Seed of Doom.
Amelia Ducat.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. I think. What do we make of? Because I think the miss was silly. I do think like the final kind of act showdown, if you like, part 6 is, like you said, John. This story doesn't really stop. So actually, when you get to that finale, it's really well developed. Really well built up. It builds up to a crescendo, which works really well. Obviously, we get our normal tussle with the Doctor and the Master and all that sort of stuff, which is brilliant because I think John Pertwee is the best at that physical stuff. I think any other Doctor really wouldn't work. I think the fact that Pertwee's one of the only Doctors you can really get into those scuffles convincingly.
Yeah, and you're actually getting to get to see him use a bit of Venetian karate here. It's not Aikido here; it's Venetian karate on Mike.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I don't think you think I'm as frail as you think, young boy. And then I like the fact that also a nice little thing in the scene. I don't know whether it was directed or Richard French did it himself. Was that he comes into the room very much like it's quite stern and kind of like, you must come with me, Doctor, and obviously then the Doctor does that, and then he kind of like stops and just becomes himself properly again and goes, you have to come anywhere, Doctor, so he goes with this facade of trying to be like this macho sort of soldier. The Doctor just entirely shuts him down, and then you kind of see Mike's true colors, as it were. Just a nice little small detail.
Yeah.
I'm happy we don't see much of Bent in the story, apart from that, like John hilariously said, he almost puts his head through some railings.
It really looks like his head's going to get stuck through those railings.
Yeah.
My favorite thing as well is that, like, it sort of represents John Levine as a person, really, because Benton really wants to be in the story, and they keep trying to find ways of Benton to not do anything. It's like Benton's like, I want to come back, and the Brigadier's like, no.
You've had
Piss off.
You've had a knock on the head. And he's like, right, let me invade the prison, otherwise I'll go and record another album. It's like, all right.
Just started singing In My Life.
There are places I remember all my life, but some have changed.
Some forever, not for better.
For those that haven't, do go and listen to the Ballad of Sergeant Benton by John Levine. It's
I think it's available on Amazon.
it's an experience.
I think it's available on Amazon.
It is available on Amazon, yes. As an MP3 download. One of the tracks in my life is on YouTube. I'm sure Alex will be happy to link it to this episode of the podcast if you wish to listen.
No.
Spot.
You can go find it yourselves. I ain't having my link with. You can buy on MP3 download for the low price of £7.99.
Yeah.
Don't bother. It's not worth it.
includes other such classics as "The Wind Beneath My Wings," "Cats in the Cradle," and my personal favourite, "The Lady in Red."
Other one is "The Water Is Wide."
Never seen you looking so lovely as you do tonight. Never seen you shine so bright. Ooh,
you know,
ooh.
In particular, in our group chat, we do get a chuckle from the "In My Life"
Mr. Levine's antics.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that we need to mention. I think, yeah, considering this is colorized, it looks great. Well directed. Soundtrack's a bit naff, but that's just me. I think there is this element of Pertwee's kind of Pertwee era, early Pertwee era, where it's just a bit like they just go for random noises as the soundtrack. Which I'm not a massive fan of. Like they'll see an evil creature and they'll go no, and sort of like
it's all a bit prog, isn't it? It's all a bit prog.
Yeah, so I'm not a massive fan of the soundtrack in this particular era. Apart from that, I think the characters are great. Not much Benton in it. I think all the story arcs fit well enough together. Like I said, for me, I think it's just when a story that is really good is put with a really good other set of stories. It seems like I'm shitting on it. Well, I'm not. I really do enjoy it. It's like Series 5, right? It's like Amy's Choice. Amy's Choice is one of the weakest stories in Series 5. I still really like it, but it's not near the top.
Leave it.
But this story is much better than Amy's Choice, but that was just me. That was just an analogy I was using. But yeah, I'll go first with the rating.
I've got a real soft spot for Amy's Choice.
Same. I like it. That's what I mean. I like it. It's just in a really good batch of stories. So if I was to like rank all the episodes of Series 5, it would be lower to mid tier. You know what I mean?
There's a few I'd put it above, but it would only be
always shit on Amy's Choice until I then watch it back and then I think, do you know what? It's not as bad as I think it is.
Well, you watched it for the podcast, and you almost. You know, I saw on Twitter. I'm happy yesterday you put your picture of you wearing the hat on Twitter. It would have been last week, but you put a picture of yourself with the Talons cap. That was really
yes. I've been using my detective skills to attempt to identify a little troll that's been having a little pop of members of the friend group.
Yes.
If they're listening, fuck off.
Inspector Cook. Ooh.
Yeah. In fact, if they're listening, fuck off, you cunt. I haven't said it yet today, so I'd had to put it in somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, add it to the mega mix. But I do believe it is time for scores on the doors. I know what John's going to say, so I'll let John go first.
10.
Owen.
I think because we put together a thing, didn't we, of where we sort of ranked.
No, we haven't. No, what?
We've not done that yet.
What are we talking about, Owen?
What? We've not. I have no idea what you might be referring to. What do you score this story?
10.
You could do 9.5 if you want to.
9.5. There you go.
I'll give it an 8. I think. Yeah, like I said, I like it. It's one of those 6-parters where I say this, like John said, I'm not going to give the criticism I was bored. I was never bored. You know, where a lot of people go, 6-parters are boring. They're too long. Some of them are, but most of them actually I quite like. But this one's never boring. Sometimes confusing.
Yeah. People that bitch and go, oh, anything above 6 parts or anything of 6 parts, I'm always too long. Needs to sit down and watch the fucking War Games.
Right, there we go. So 10, 9.5, and 8, just so people can have a look as well. Here is the prices of the there you go. That's the only bit of advertising you're getting, John. Right, here we go. Here's the wheel.
Spin the
What's it
wheel.
gonna be?
Make the wheel. Spin
I
the
got
wheel.
rid of the other episode, so that there shouldn't be anything there.
What on
Just gonna
earth
sit-
is Elastic Man Online?
I don't. Oh yes, yes.
Oh, look, you've even got little fireworks going off of that one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Vincent and the Doctor will be our May review.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Owen, you don't seem too pleased.
No. I have a feeling. Have we done that one before? Last
No.
No,
couple of years ago?
What?
no.
No. Wait, you say a couple of years ago, the podcast only recently turned to, and you've never done Vincent the Doctor.
I mean, to be honest, all these watch-alongs and then podcasts, they all kind of just all merge into one. So I'm like, hang on, haven't I done that one? Yeah.
So Vincent and the Doctor has been taken off the wheel. There we go.
Wonderful.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining this. I would say,
I mean, that's like the ridiculous to the sublime, isn't it? Going from Time Flight to ridiculous to Vincent and the Doctor.
there we go. Thank you guys for joining us today. I hope my internet is okay. I hope it gets picked up okay. If not, I'll re-record it. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow the podcast at the Timeless Pod. There is a link tree on the social media where you can go subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Google, Apple, and the rest. You can follow Owen at Dr. Disco 63 on Twitter. I think the gram as well. You can go and check out the Who shop if you want to get some Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah,
Do you have?
We've just got in. Hang on.
Oh, he got it prepared. Look, he was waiting. He was waiting all episode long until somebody mentioned it.
Chronicles 2007. We've still got some in stock. How about that? And also,
I ordered mine directly from Panini. I know. Sorry.
and also the reprint of the Yi Ji So book, Time and Spaces, which is now available, and also comes with a signed card signed by Yi Ji himself.
Oh, nice.
Limited of 250 copies.
Nice.
And there you go. Get those, pick them up, read them, enjoy it. Read them or read it. It's only one. You can read the art card if you want. I suppose you would read a signed art card, but anyway, I'm talking like a tit now. You can follow John.
There's no chance there.
At John Boy Cook.
I mean, at John Boy _Cook. I mean, like the only part of that statement I question is the word now. But
there we go. And like I said, John and I will be making a podcast in the not too distant future as well. And as the wrestling fans were like, where's the wrestling content? We're not going to make stuff for Elimination Chamber, but there will be 2 or 3 technically wrestling podcast /videos. As me and John will also be doing a booking WrestleMania thing sooner rather than later. So it could possibly be the week after Peacemaker, actually, because we are running out of time to get that out before matches are actually announced, because we probably want to do that before so it doesn't impact our thoughts and opinions too much on our dream WrestleMania cards. But until then, guys, stay safe. See you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
don't have nightmares. Do sleep well.